Hello, and welcome to the Truth and Grace Ministry Minute. I'm author Leslie Montgomery. As spring blows in and ushers out winter, I'm seeing more and more motorcycles on the road, which always reminds me of the accident I was in when I was 19. If I think about it too long, I'll become nauseated as I recall the gravel violently ripping open my skin from head to toe and embedding itself in its place. After my then 5'8", 135-pound frame came to a bloody heap 30 feet away, I passed out from the relentless pain that consumed my body as if it was on fire. It was so excruciating that the morphine the ambulance crew and the ER staff administered was incapable of even touching the pain. Have you ever had pain like that? Not just physically, but emotionally. You know what I'm talking about. The kind of disappointment and pain that is so deep and wide that it's a chore to even breathe. The kind that makes you fall asleep crying and waking up crying. The throbbing, numbing kind of agony that leaves you feeling as though you're living outside of yourself. And you wonder how on earth you'll get by for the next few minutes, let alone the day. Looking back, the external agony I was enduring at that time paralleled the internal agony I was going through. I was raised in a home where my parents were forced to marry after my father raped my mother at gunpoint. So, as you can imagine, my dad had some issues when I was growing up. I endured all kinds of abuse. Covered with a blanket of shame, I attempted suicide for the first time at 12, and there were many attempts that followed. When I wasn't successful, I rebelled against everything and everyone. Years later, at 25, I was introduced to Jesus and welcomed him into my life. But before I became a believer, I'd been to therapist after therapist, read countless self help books, attended groups, tried various religions, studied counseling in college to try to figure myself out, and just about everything else you can imagine to get well and fill the gaping wound inside of me. While some of those attempts eventually brought some healing, I was never able to acquire complete healing. Essentially, they were like putting a band aid on my wounds, protecting them from bleeding into my everyday life and the lives of everyone around me. They helped me to cope well enough that I could get by. But every time I had a nightmare or something triggered a memory from my past, the band aid was unexpectedly ripped off, and the wound beneath would come out and ooze out the poison that was slowly killing me and hurt those around me. What I needed, the world could not give me. Going back to the motorcycle accident, after I'd been released from the hospital, I was required to go back every single day for physical therapy. Every day for months, I sat in this large vat of hot water and soaked my entire body. After about 30 minutes of soaking, the nurses attending to my wounds would come in and they'd take this plastic brush with soft bristles and they'd scrub off every single one of my scabs and remove them from my body. And they'd clean the wounds. And this caused them to bleed profusely. Afterwards, they would apply an ointment called zinc oxide and they'd wrap my injuries with extensive gauze. And of course, because the wounds were reopened, I bled habitually. I'm sure I looked like something out of a horror movie. But the purpose of this procedure was to heal my body in such a way that the wounds left no scars. Eventually, my body healed enough that I could care for my own wounds, and I was encouraged to continue what I called the hell bath and continue to apply the zinc oxide and wrap my own injuries. And I continued this procedure for about a year, except in two places where my wounds were the deepest: my knees. While my entire body is free from scars to this day from the accident, I still have those two half-dollar size scars on both my knees. These scars are a result of my foolishness. You see, I got tired of the pain, became lazy, and stopped applying the zinc oxide, and I let those two places heal on their own. Now, apart from the proper procedure and the application of the zinc oxide, they scarred. Well, one day I was putting on a pair of jeans and I noticed the two scars on my knees, and God reminded me of something. that he taught me shortly after I became a born again Christian in the fall of 1993. And it stuck with me for 27 years. That if I surrender every broken and wounded part of my body, soul, and spirit, I'll receive complete healing. That is, healing without any residual scars. And as I look back at the scars on my knees, the Lord has shown me that it's only on my knees that I receive complete healing from His heavenly zinc oxide, and that's the Holy Spirit. It's only when we seek to heal ourselves or apply the world's answers to healing that we have residual scars. I'm Leslie Montgomery. Until tomorrow, keep your eyes on the prize and your feet on the rock, and you will not falter.